Karamoja, located in the remote northeastern part of Uganda, is a region of striking contrasts and rich cultural heritage. Despite its long history of marginalization and periods of conflict, Karamoja today is a place of resilience and transformation, except there's an expanding child trafficking crisis. Hello and welcome to the New Vision CSI Crime Stories podcast, presenting to you Karamoja's Stolen Childhood. In a 5-part series, this investigation busts myths, follows how Karimojong children are moved to Kampala, names prime suspects in trafficking rings, and asks, where are the dead street kids buried? I'm Razia Othman. This investigation was conducted by a New Vision reporter who must remain undercover. To protect them, I'll be telling the story. This is the story of Matany, tucked in the plains of Napak district, which is the epicenter of child trafficking. Let's start by demystifying the myths. The Karamoja we never hear about. Tucked into plains of Napak district, Matany township sits like a quiet heartbeat in Karamoja. It is both a town and a feeling quiet yet full of life, remote yet connected, traditional yet touched by modernity. Approaching Matany, the first thing that captures the eye is the endless horizon. After 3 grueling hours on the road, the undercover reporter arrived at Matany town a few minutes past 10 p.m. They were exhausted, starving, and their legs were paralyzed, but they reached safely. En route, they had imagined a town with buildings bearing the marks of neglect, stray dogs on the prowl in small parks, and stretches of road swallowed by darkness. They actually encountered a different story. The town was still bustling with activities and brightly lit by streetlights. Located along the Soroti-Moroto Highway, Matany is the fastest growing town in Napak district. Matany Trading Center is small but lively. Despite its modest size, it has a sense of movement and a steady hum of activity. The Karimojong culture remains strong in Matany. You encounter elders in traditional shukas, herders carrying long sticks, and young warriors on the prowl. The town has everything a guest would need: supermarkets, fuel stations, hospitals, shops, accommodation, local food markets, name it. Wooden dukas, metal kiosks, and open-air stalls line the main road, offering anything from sorghum, posho, solar lanterns, and gumboots. Local butcheries hang fresh meat behind wire grids. Women sit behind piles of tomatoes, onions, and green vegetables transported from Mbale and Soroti. They found a room at Napak Heights Hotel, a storied hotel in the center of Matany town. Through their contact, they had booked the room and the hotel manager was waiting for them. They were pleasantly surprised to find the town completely different from what people were telling them. Their self-contained hotel room was on the 3rd floor. They spent the first 2 weeks in Napak at this hotel, and throughout that time, the hotel never experienced a power or water outage. There's a restaurant in Matany town that serves local dishes called Abuoli's Restaurant. This is where affluent guests dine. Bean stew goes for 6,000 shillings, while beef stew goes for 8,000 shillings. Typical Kampala prices. Being in this town feels like being locked in a drum at the peak of a cultural festival. Sound reverberates from all corners. They play music, dance, and drink until 5 a.m., when you can hope for a decent wink of sleep. Matany is a melting pot with several tribes including Bagishu, Baganda, Basoga, Iteso, Batoro, and the Banyankore owning businesses in this town. Kenyans are also present here. Like any other Karamoja district, the natives, especially men, use shukas to cover their bodies as their traditional dress code. The undercover reporter reflected on their assignment and how to penetrate communities and pondered how to get a trusted interpreter and transporter. They aimlessly moved around town so there would be a flash of recognition in the minds of the locals if they chanced on meeting them later. Like any other unfamiliar place, visitors are easily singled out, and they could tell this from the way they curiously glanced at them. They felt the piercing gazes which unnerved them. But when they were told about the market day that happens in Kangole town every Wednesday, they felt a light bulb moment. It would be their starting point. The market day. During market days, the town becomes a colorful mosaic. Pastoralists arrive with livestock, women display handmade crafts, children chase each other between stalls. Conversations are mainly in Karimojong and Kiswahili. Their rider, who was also their translator, is born in Napak. So he was well versed with places and people knew him. It became easy for them to access all the places and communication was eased. It took them about 25 minutes from Matany to Kangole Market on a motorcycle. They encountered countless teenage mothers selling produce and charcoal.
Giving money to the street beggars is said to be perpetuating a cycle of poverty and also creating a strong incentive for children.
Unlike Kampala, children in Napak communities do not beg from guests. Many young mothers and their children were busy selling charcoal and mangoes, while others were sorting maize, cassava flour, sorghum for making local brew or malua. Some of the children were selling infant thrifts. They were working for someone, and because of the language, the undercover reporter could not communicate to them. They just smiled at each other. They went to a group of young mothers who were selling sacks of charcoal, each at 6,000 shillings. It was lunchtime and some were eating mangoes. Close to them, they sat and the reception was cold, apart from one of them who offered to talk to them. Mary was calm and receptive. She is 13 years old, but she has a 3-month-old baby, a teenage mother. Next to her were other young mothers standing waiting for charcoal buyers. Under the scorching sun, they seemed frustrated, waiting for elusive customers in vain. Mary politely asked for 500 shillings to buy mangoes for lunch. It was a group of 5. While eating mangoes, she revealed through their translator that they burn and sell charcoal to buy food for their families. Other girls, some pregnant, said they were hungry and wanted something to eat with their children. Although Mary spoke to them through an interpreter, she would sometimes speak a smattering of English. Amid the evident deprivation, she was cheerful. The sharing moment was fun. They were moved by the love they had for each other. They shared the cassava flour equally and no one complained. They smiled, hugged each other, and thanked the undercover reporter. Tears welled in their eyes. They could not help everyone, but at least these young mothers were doing something to earn a living, and their determination to hustle touched them. The undercover reporter kept moving around with their guide, trying to trace the people in charge of recruiting street children. Then came Mass at Matany Church. After spending a week in the area, They went to Matany Catholic Church on Sunday to attend Mass. The church is located a few meters away from town. They attended the 10 a.m. Mass that is conducted in the local language, Karimojong. Also, they had been told girls that are ready for marriage and potential suitors attend that Mass. They wanted to witness how they behave after Mass and how they carry out the courtship dance. In Karamoja, Sundays are sacred, and it is when people rest and visit one another. Matany is usually crowded on Sundays as people from villages travel to the town. The parish priest, Father Isaac Amako, who led the Mass, disclosed that about 90% of the population in Karamoja is Catholic. The Mass was attended by a big number, both children and the elderly. At the time of giving the offertory, almost everyone gave something. They later spoke at length with Father Amako on several issues affecting the Karimojong, especially the girl child. They wanted to get his take on why children are being trafficked to Kampala to beg on the streets, plus the high rate of teenage pregnancies and child marriages. The young girls dress in traditional attire with several pins in their ears and noses, as well as wrappers around their waists. They tint their short hair. This dress code, according to the priest, depicts girls who are single and searching. The priest says the girls turn up in anticipation of being grabbed by potential suitors after Mass. In the Karimojong tradition, girls are grabbed by potential suitors before marriage happens. While in Mass, there were some young boys in their traditional sheets called Nakatukok. As soon as the Mass ended, they followed them to their destination. Behind Matany town, next to the marketplace, is the field where they usually meet to choose brides. It's also a courtship dancing ground. Boys come dressed in their nakatukok with grazing sticks and hats pinned with a feather. Girls come in skirts with wrappers around their waists. The social event is attended by every youth who is ready for marriage. This event happens in every town on Sundays after Mass. Youth walk long distances of up to 30 kilometers to attend this event. They sing in their native language while jumping. In the process, young men move around spotting girls to grab. Once a young man spots a girl who tickles his fancy, he moves close and in one swoop grabs her wrapper. The girl will initially decline the dance, but the young man will persist until she accepts. The girl's friends will then accompany her amid chants. If a girl's wrapper is grabbed and she has no interest in the young man, she stands still like a statue. It's believed that parents of girls who are married off this way get many cows for the bride price. However, before they get home, the boy will test drive his new acquisition. They will have intercourse with his chosen girl in the bush and thereafter take her home. When a young girl disappears from her home for a week, her parents trace her to confirm that she was grabbed. It is at this point that elders will go to the young man's home to demand cows. In Karamoja, the girl child is still seen as a source of pride and wealth to her parents. Their travel to Karamoja coincided with the rainy season, during which many households were weeding and planting crops. During morning hours, locals would walk as long as 15 kilometers to tend to gardens, and these were mostly mothers and their daughters. They spend over 6 hours in gardens. Men and boys would be grazing animals. A few men were seen enjoying the local brew as early as 8 a.m. A cup of malwa costs 200 shillings, and it is common to see 4 adults and children sharing one cup. In their estimation, the Karimojong are very intelligent and smart people. They do most of their work communally. They also sit and drink in groups. This brotherhood bond was necessitated by the insecurity from cattle rustlers who would attack at any time. With the safety of numbers, it was always difficult to overrun the locals. Is the thirst for handouts inherent, or does it emanate from years of foreign aid? They noticed the insatiable penchant for handouts from visitors. They expect guests to be their problem solvers. It's disrespectful to decline a handshake. The undercover reporter was also informed that the Karimojong shake hands to check the person's strength. Since they live in a homestead setting, they always protect one another from foreign attacks. There are many girls in villages who are left at home to take care of their siblings and help their mothers to run errands. Deep in Karimojong village, they found a man named Joseph, the area defense secretary. He was tilling his garden with an ox plow assisted by his sons. They asked him why his children were not in school, and he explained that the school is very far away, over 5 kilometers, and the children have to be 8 years old to be able to walk to school. The only available school is Matany Primary School, but many children who would have been in class were loitering in the village carrying babies on their backs. They carry their younger siblings as their mothers till the gardens. At night, Matany slows to a whisper. The air cools, dusts, which is part of the town's personality, settles, and the township rests. Moving beyond 10 p.m. becomes risky because in their fight against cattle rustling, the UPDF soldiers start patrolling the streets. The soldiers arrest those found roaming beyond 10 p.m. and they are taken in as suspected cattle rustlers. In the next episode, we reveal the hidden pipeline and show you how the Karimojong children are lured into the Kampala dream and moved from Karamoja to Kampala streets. I'm Razia Athman. Thank you for listening to the New Vision CSI Crime Stories podcast.